There's a single peptide sitting in 50 years of Russian clinical research that your body already makes, but production of it drops every year after your 20s. It's called EPITALON. And I ran 10 cycles of it to get off Adderall and actually fix my brain instead of just forcing it to work. Because after spending my 20s blasting steroids, using Adderall, sniffing some cocaine, drinking alcohol, my brain was fried by the time I hit 30. And Big Pharma's answer for focus is the same drug that's been handed to 16 million Americans daily. Adderall. What if the actual fix isn't a dopamine hack at all? What if it's a signal your body already uses to send it on its own? And what basically determines how fast every single cell in your body ages? Because our own bodies are a living repair system, and that repair signal keeps getting weaker every year. So in this video, I'm gonna break down what EPITALON is, how effective it has been for me after 10 cycles, and what I would do differently if I was starting today. When it comes to cognitive performance and longevity, the question people always ask is what pill, powder, or injection is going to add years to their life. But that's not the right question you should be asking. The real question is why your body loses the ability to repair and regulate itself in the first place. And the answer to that question was discovered in the middle of the Cold War by a Soviet scientist named Vladimir Kosovitsin. I don't know if I said that right, but I tried. His job was figuring out how to keep these soldiers alive under conditions that should have killed them. Radiation exposure, extreme sleep deprivation, physical stress that humans were never able to tolerate or survive. They found that specific organs in the body produce these tiny peptide fragments. And those fragments tell the exact same organs and those genes what to do. So if an organ starts to fail or aging, you could theoretically hand it back that exact signal it's been losing and start acting young again. He called these peptides compound peptides or bioregulators. The first version came from grinding up actual cow pineal glands and took the peptide fragments, extracted them right out of that. And that extract was called EPITALON. And eventually his team isolated those exact sequences responsible for that effect. Then they synthesized it to a clean, pure version, which is what we know today. EPITALON. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, this research got declassified, and over 7,000 papers eventually came out of it. And almost none of it has ever been reviewed or translated or brought into Western medicine, simply because there was nothing to patent, there was nothing to profit from, because a 4 amino acid peptide that anyone could synthesize, once you know the sequence, is worthless to the pharmaceutical companies. So instead of funding the human trials that would confirm that 40 years of research already suggests, Big Pharma just ignored it. And the FDA followed their lead, which is exactly why, decades later, most Americans have never even heard of EPITALON. So to understand exactly how EPITALON works and how to use it in your protocol, you must understand first how cellular aging and this process works in the first place. Because every cell in your body contains chromosomes. And at the end of each one of those is a protective cap called a telomere. Now, every time your cells divide, those caps get shorter. And once they're gone, the cell either dies or what we call a zombie cell, meaning it's still there, but it's no longer working in your favor, and it's actively inflaming the tissue around it, so it's useless. The process is called biological aging. So chronic stress, poor sleep, stimulant use, alcohol, all of those things that are really bad for you speeds up that process. By the time most of these guys hit their late 30s or even 20s, their biological age is already running way ahead of their actual chronological age. So what's the actual solution to reversing that cellular aging and stopping the telomeres from degrading? There's an enzyme in your body called telomerase, and its entire job is to rebuild those telomere caps and reverse the shortening. The problem is the telomeres activity declines with age and your body progressively loses the ability to repair those itself at the cell level. And that's where, you guessed it, EPITALON comes in, because it's a synthetic tetrapeptide. So it's got 4 amino acids, alanine, glutamate, aspartate, and glycine. These are all strung together like Christmas lights into a molecule so small it barely weighs anything. And that's exactly why it gets into your cells so fast and so easily. And once it's in there, it reactivates the thing called telomerase, giving your body back the ability to rebuild those caps instead of just watching them shrink right up. And on top of that, remember this, it directly stimulates your pineal gland, which is part of the brain that's responsible for the melatonin production and your circadian rhythm, and plays a major role in your brain's nightly restoration cycle. To be clear, EPITALON is not a focus compound or a stimulant, which which is the entire point here. Because stimulants just force output out of your system that's already broken. They make you feel like the problem is solved till they stop working entirely. And then when you're right back where you started, you're like, crap. Except now, your body had to adapt to the stimulant on top of everything else that you're doing. If you ever used Adderall or SSRIs in the past, you would know exactly how this cycle feels. You force yourself to focus for a couple hours, but the moment it wears off, you crash harder than before than you ever even start. You get my point, before you ever started. EPITALON is the only compound that I found that does these two things because it actually addresses what's breaking down underneath the root, under the hood. And the benefits with your sleep, cognitive function, and focus will compound over time, even when you're not even taking it. So let me walk you through exactly how I personally ran it and how I'd structure my protocol. I ran my first EPITALON cycle at 1 to 2 milligrams daily for 21 days. This was 5 years ago, and going in, I expected to feel some type of noticeable cognitive change, sharper thinking, better focus, could recall things better. Something obvious I could point to and say, oh, that's EPITALON. But that's not what happened. What happened instead was improvements in my sleep. Within the first 7 to 10 days, I was falling into deeper sleep faster than I had in years. And when I was tracking all of this through my Whoop, Apple Watch, I have an 8 sleep bed. My dreams got more vivid, which sounds like a very small detail, but you need to understand what that actually means. Vivid dreaming is actually a marker of REM quality. And REM sleep is amazing because this is when your brain actually consolidates your memory and clears out all that metabolic waste through something called your lymphatic system. I was waking up actually restored and rejuvenated because that cognitive effect was like the absence of fog. I had normalized that for a very long time. I mean, everybody does. And once it's lifted, I realized how long I've been operating like this. My recovery was so much better. It significantly improved over the next couple of weeks. My nervous system was noticeably calmer, and I was less reactive. As your nervous system actually starts to heal, your mood's gonna be noticeably better, your emotional regulation's gonna be much better, your overall temperament shifts are gonna be way better over time. And what I can tell you is the first cycle produced a huge raise in my baseline cognitive function that I have not gotten from any compound ever. And at this point, I've run through pretty much everything you can imagine. You name it, I used it. One thing you have to remember though about EPITALON and other bioregulators, which we're gonna get into, is that the benefits are supposed to be compounding over time, not just when you're taking it. So if I were looking to start EPITALON today, this is exactly how I'd structure my protocol. I started conservative with my first cycle, and I recommend you do the same if it's your very first time. This can run anywhere from 2 to 3 milligrams daily on the low end, and up to 5 to 10 milligrams sub-Q daily, subcutaneous. And most people, like myself included, run it right before you go to bed. That's when your natural melatonin production is gonna kick in, and that's where I've seen it work the best. What I would tell you is right now, don't expect to feel anything. You're not gonna feel anything. What matters just as much is the dosing and how long you actually run this peptide. I don't stay on this continuously, and neither should you. I run it for 20 to 30 to 45-day cycles, and 2 to 3 times a year, max. That's it. The reason, well, there's 2 reasons. First, what continuous use does to your telomeres and your pineal gland actually affects the ability to reset, because your pineal gland can only handle so much extra push before it stops responding the way you want. And second, bioregulators in general, if you research them, are designed to work in a hard acute push over a very short period of time. The research actually shows the opposite of what people assume. Stay on longer doesn't make it more effective. So daily dosing, 30 to 45 days, max, 2 to 3 cycles a year, max. Once that cycle is done, that's exactly where the next peptide in this stack is gonna pick up the work. EPITALON is just part of the whole class of compounds that the Soviet researchers developed using the exact same bioregulator concept. And the first one that pairs directly with it is called Pinealon. Now, Pinealon is a tripeptide, and it's basically the perfect complementary peptide to what EPITALON just started for you. EPITALON is working at the cell level, resetting your telomeres, helping your pineal gland, and the Pinealon is tagged specifically for the blood-brain barrier. And its job is protecting your brain from all the oxidative stress that you have. And remember, that stress is everywhere. No one can stop it. Training hard, being up all night, eating like shit, alcohol, smoking, medications, everything bad for you. You know what they are. You're an adult. All of it generates oxidative damage to your cells and your brain. You have to deal with that crap. So the dosing for this peptide typically runs between 8 to 10 milligrams a day over a 20-day cycle. I like to do 21 days, so 7, 14, 21, so it's 3 weeks, 2 to 3 times a year. Now, most people run this right after finishing your EPITALON cycle. You can run them parallel to each other simultaneously, and then you got Semax, which is a nootropic, and generally one of the best longevity and cognitive peptides out there, or I should say in this entire category. It's amazing for neuroprotection, and it upregulates something called BDNF, NGF. I talk about it here all the time on the channel, and these are the genes that are responsible for progressing neurodegenerative disease. Typical dosing, 300, 400, 600 micrograms is a lot. I don't typically go that high unless it's like, gotta hammer it. Split into 2 doses, morning, afternoon. You can cycle this a couple times a year. I don't recommend running as needed, but people do. You're gonna do what you want. I like structuring it to 21 to 30 days on, and then off, and then month on, so forth and so on. That framework, I kept going back to it work. And then there's Cellular, which I always run with Semax. Now, it's technically a heptapeptide, but it's also a nootropic. Now, what it does is it regulates your cortisol, which is everyone knows very important. It helps your immune system stay stronger, so you have more resiliency. And then it keeps your nervous system very grounded from getting overstimulated, which we all are. As much as we don't want to admit that, we are. Same dosing as Cellular and Semax, so they're 300 to 400 micrograms, maybe 600 if you're going crazy. Now, this is the part that actually matters more than any individual peptide on this list I'm giving you. How you sequence them. I don't run all 4 of these at the same damn time. Never do that. Think about it like this. You're not gonna go running before you know how to walk. You're not gonna walk before you know how to crawl. It's the same exact logic with these stacks. And when you stagger these peptides properly, you get the full benefit of each one. And as you come out of the previous cycle, you're gonna notice it compounds instead of the whole signal getting worse or getting cloudy. Don't run them all at once. And I have to say this, these peptides are not for substitutes for doing the basics consistently. Meaning your nutrition, your lifestyle, very important, your sleep, your training, exercising, actually taking everything as seriously as you do with your peptide stack. You guys all love taking your peptides on time, getting your injections in, get everything else in your life aligned and disciplined just like that. So if you're watching this and you want a personalized biohacking protocol built around your blood work, your hormones, where you actually are right now, we're gonna meet you there so you can transform your physique and get that performance that you want. There's a link right on top in the description, the first one. Click that right now to schedule an assessment call with someone on my team. We'll have a one-on-one call and we'll chat. So there you have it, the complete framework for EPITALON, bioregulators, and the exact research nobody in Western medicine wants to talk about. So if you got value from this video, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and let me know. Are you currently running any of these peptides right now? Be honest, or is it the first time you're hearing about them? Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.